Welcome to the AER channel. In the previous video, we started off our game's controller shape and we made one rough half of the controller. In this one we are going to improve the shape a bit and we are going to mirror over to the other side to get the whole shape. So first up, you can have a look at your loft shape. If you're happy with this, you can just keep it as it is. But we could also add some guide curves. This might not really be needed in this case, but we are going to have a look at it anyway, just for the practice. To add the guide curves, first we are going to split the loft feature up into the sketches that make it up. So expand the loft feature so you can see the sketches underneath it. And then grab the rollback bar and drag it up so it's above those three sketches, but it's below the loft feature. And you probably get a message that says, do you want to temporarily unabsorb these features? Just press OK. Now you can drag back below those three sketches and the plane, but still above the loft feature. By default, those sketches will be hidden. So we are going to select those three sketches and we are just going to press show. So now we can see the three sketches that make up the loft feature, but the loft feature itself is still turned off. We can now add those guide curves. As I said, you might not necessarily need these in this specific case, but we are just going to show you how to do it anyway. So to make these guide curves, let's use a 3D sketch. So go to the sketch tab, click on the drop down under sketch and choose a 3D sketch, and we'll use a spline. So draw a 3D spline and draw a guide curve through those points on the left hand side. Then I'm going to get another spline and I'm going to do something similar on the right hand side. So make sure it touches all of our profiles. Then if you want, we can adjust the guide curve to change the shape of our profile a little bit. And if we find that we accidentally mess up our curves when we are adjusting the handles, we can just click on the handle and we can press the reset this handle or reset all handles. So now that we've drawn the guide curves, we can exit that sketch. We can drag back down below the loft feature. So we are going to turn the feature on and we have now got that guide curve sketch before the loft feature. So we can now edit that loft feature and we can use that guide curve sketch in this feature. So I'm going to click in the guide curves box. I'm just going to choose first this left hand guide curve. So select the line and then press OK on the little pop-up menu. And then I'm going to select the one on the other side. So select the guide curve and then just press OK. And you see in this case, it didn't really make much difference. If we adjusted that guide curve, then we could really change the shape of this loft. So now let's start to add some fillets to smooth everything off. I'm going to get fillet tool and I'm going to start on the end of the hand grip. So I'm going to try 12mm and I'm going to select this edge. So when we add our fillet, ideally we want a single face all the way around here. So there's just one filleted face all the way around. Depending on the size that our fillet, we might get multiple smaller faces on here. And this can sometimes cause you issues if you try and shell out the part to hollow out later on. So if I just quickly adjust the size of this fillet and I change it from 12 to 14. Now we can see we've actually got three smaller faces there. If we got to 12mm, then we've got that one single face. So if you only have one single face there, it can make the shelling operation work better. And we'll look at this in a little bit more detail when we shell the part in a few videos time. So in this case, I'm going to put mine down to 12. Yours might be slightly different, depending on the exact curve of your loft. And if you find this does cause problems with the shell, we can always come back and adjust it later on. So next up, I'm going to get the fillet tool again, and I'm going to fillet this edge along the bottom. So ideally, we should have one single curved line down there. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to add a large fillet, something like 60mm, to give a nice curve over the chain there. If you have any problem selecting this, it might be that your loft doesn't quite join your center section at the correct place. And if this is the case, try adjusting the guide curve on your loft, so you've got more of an overlap between the loft feature and the center block. So to show that problem, I'm just going to edit that loft feature. I'm going to flip around the guide curves a bit, so this is a very exaggerated view. But you might have something like this. You might have the loft doesn't quite join that block correctly. So you've got the straight line of the block there, basically a little gap there, where the loft joins on. This will probably mean that the fillet won't work properly. So if you've got a little gap there, or a little straight line, then just go in, adjust your guide curves, and make it so that you've got a curved edge there, not a straight edge or a gap. But if you have guide curves and ellipses similar to the original video, then hopefully this shouldn't be an issue for you. So we've got that large fillet underneath. Then next up, I'm going to add two smaller fillets to the front edge of the block. So these are going to be 7mm. And then a larger fillet around that loop that creates. So this one's going to be 30mm. And it goes all the way around there. And it helps the block join onto the hand grips with a bit of a nicer smooth curve there. And then finally, to finish off, let's add 10mm around this loop at the back. So there we have cut half of our basic controller shape, and we can now mirror this over to the other side. So go to Features, Mirror, and for the mirror plane, we can actually choose the edge of that block there. And then for the features to mirror, we could select all of the features, but it's probably much easier just to mirror the whole body. So I'm going to clear features to mirror, I'm going to expand bodies to mirror, and then I'm just going to choose that body going to press. And now we should see the full controller shape there, and we can save at this point. Now the great thing about Solidworks is we can now easily adjust anything. So if we look at this, and we think maybe the controller is too narrow, we can just double click on the original center block, and we can change the size. So it could maybe change this from 60 up to 80. And then rebuild. And then makes the whole controller wider. I personally think this one's too wide. So I'm just going to Control Z. I'm going to go back to that 60mm, but you can set whatever you want. So if you like, play around with your shape and have a little adjustment, and then when you're happy, you can save your part. To recap this video, we added some cat curves to the loft. In this specific case, maybe we don't really need them, but they can be useful for adding more control. Then we added a lot of fillets. Ideally on the end here, we want one single face that goes all the way around. Because if you have lots of smaller faces, then this can sometimes cause issues with shelling. If this does cause a problem for us in the future, we can always go back and fix it later on. Then we also filleted the underneath. And if you've got a cap there underneath, and then you can't add that fillet, then try to go back into the loft feature and adjusting the cat curves so you don't have a cap there. And then you should be outside the fillet, and then we rounded off the rest of the corners. And we just mirror the entire body over. So we use the bodies to mirror instead of features to mirror. And now we've got our game controller shape. In the next video, we'll add a few more details, and then we'll shell out this part. I hope it helps a little and is useful.